Okay, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and I'm Svitlana Salamatova. I am initiator and part of the Global Online Dialog, which we hold each week. And thank you, Adil. And I'm very happy to see you each week. And it seems like we do a great job together because we discuss, as for me, very important topics for people. And our topic for last several dialogue about values and about leadership, about leaders. And today my proposition to talk a little bit about social media and leadership and what's the role social media play right now in our life. Because I'm Svitlana Salamatova, I'm previously head of NGO in Ukraine, and now I'm part of NGO, and I'm living in social community active life since 1999. And that's why I understand that social media play very important in my personal each day life. What about you?
Thank you very much, Svetlana, for your introduction and also for me. Our every week meetings, they are very valuable because I learn a lot from these meetings, from this international dialogue. And when we are talking about social media, I would like to speak in a wider way. It means about the interactive media, about the interactive era which we are living in now, and leadership. Because the interactive era, the interactive media, they changed the character of leadership totally. We can say that we have now a new type of leadership, a new type of dealing with leadership problems. What is the interactive era? I think the interactive era, it is an era which began from 1990 or from the spread of internet in our everyday life. Before that, we were living in traditional era or traditional media era. And this era is connected very close with the internet, with the mass use of internet, but it is also connected with other interactive media and forms like interactive television, like interactive radio, video conferences, all these new, what we call them new media. What is the difference between the traditional media and the interactive media? The main difference between them is that in traditional media, the message is sent from one side to the other side. It means from the media holder or the media producer to the audience. But in interactive time, this message is circulating. It is not going from one side to other side. It is circulating between different sides. And in traditional media, we can't choose, in fact, what kind of information we want. But in interactive media, in interactive times, we can choose the media, the information which we want. So it is more democratic, it is more plural. This process of receiving and sending. Also, what kind of media now we can say that they are interactive totally? Of course, we are speaking about social media. We are speaking about Facebook. We are speaking about Twitter. We are speaking about Instagram. We are speaking about YouTube as the main channels. Of course, there is a lot of websites. There is a lot of portals. There is a lot of applications which people use in an interactive way. Also, we are talking about different kind of instant messengers. Of course, in the beginning there was IRC messenger. After that, we had the Hotmail Messenger, and after that we had Skype, Paltalk, different kind of messengers, which also the one which we are using now, Google Hangout and different kind of media which are interactive, which let people to talk in lifetime with each other, not looking at the distance between them. Also, the costs of the interactive media, they cut the cost between, which was very high for traditional media. So now everybody can open his own radio, internet radio, or his own channel in YouTube and other. What we can say about the interactive media and the time of interactive media, that it is very democratic, because everyone with a smartphone or with a laptop or with a computer and with access to the internet can be an active participant in this interactive media. That is the first one. The second one, it is not hierarchical. It is not, we don't find the hierarchy, that there is leaders, there is big bosses, and there is other which are just receiving. That here it is very, we can say, democratic, and it is very public, that everyone can be the leader by himself.
Yes, agree.
Yeah. So this is in general that the interactive times, it force on us to behave in another way, to behave in a more democratic way, in a more open way, in a more transparent way. And also that leadership is different. Leadership is not that one person is a leader and the others are the followers. No, everybody can be a leader. And sometimes you have to give up your leadership privilege, yeah, to be a normal participant, because in such an environment like Facebook or like Twitter, you can't say that I'm a leader, so I will not tweet with you, I will not retweet, or no, you are just like any other one with the same account, with the same rights and duties, and with the same technical means. So I believe that, of course, we are in the middle of this technological revolution, of this media revolution, because till now we are not using it to the maximum. We are using it only in, I can say, in 10 or 20%. I believe that in the near future, the cost of internet will be less. The internet itself will be more advanced, so there will not be problems with the connection. Just we have many times with Africa, there will be wide internet connections. We're talking about internet 2, which will be very fast, and huge data can be sent. So we can send films, we can send files which we prepared before while we are talking, and the advancement of the quality of the internet will, of course, bring new channels, will bring new ideas, will bring new social media, because we can notice that YouTube, Facebook, all this, they began 10 years ago, when the internet was more advanced and more available for people. So in next 10 years or 20 years, I believe that, I can't of course now imagine it, but I believe that we will have just new and more interactive media, and the leadership type of traditional era will totally finish. Thank you.
And Teddy, it's very good, and we are very good example how social media works for us, because thank you Media IC, and we start this activity like partnership, build partnership with Media IC 4 years ago, and almost each week we meet here in the internet through the Google+Hangouts, and Sergey moved from Crimea to Poland like a couple years ago, and we still work together. And I like media, I like internet, and it's helped us, first of all, don't lose each other, and secondly, we each week something new come to our mind, and new ideas, new understanding, and it seems like it's cut our time. It's other words, it seems like social media help us to make our life more quality, like to bring more quality to our life, and help to bring peer-to-peer communication. For example, now I am Ukraine and you are in Poland, and almost you are bridge between Poland and Africa, and we see Ron. Ron is from Scotland. And Ron, hi. And we are very glad to see you today, and we are talking very shortly about social media and leadership. And do you have some ideas, and do you want to say something about it?
Well, I would like to ask one thing. You are saying in the Ukraine how social media has helped you in many ways and everything else. Well, what I found out through experience, the Ukraine is still very far behind. Many people still do not have broadband and things like that. Many people still do not have computers. They rely on their cell phone or whatever they have. So, is your government, are they making progress as regards getting widespread broadband in your country, or are they still sort of a little bit withholding, as you might say, maybe a bit? Yeah, you understand what I mean here?
No, I hope I understand.
Okay.
And Ron, and what about Scotland? How many leaders, Scottish leaders, use social media?
I think you'll probably find that here in Scotland, almost everyone uses social media. It doesn't matter in which category they come. Everyone will use social media. For example, our Prime Minister, our First Lady here, Nicola Sturgeon, she is on Twitter, and you can, and the Prime Minister, they are on Twitter, and so I mean, it is very widespread here. We have absolutely no problems with the social media in this country at all.
Okay, can I?
Yes, of course.
Of course, the question was to Svitlana about social media using in Ukraine and the lack of broadband connections. But I think this question can be even asked to Africa, because in Africa we have bigger problem with the internet. Of course, there is wide use of smartphones in Africa, because in Africa we use more smartphones than traditional phones, because just the spreading of the revolution of this telecommunication, it comes in a time that we have to decide. So in many African countries, different people who have never even seen a traditional phone, now they have smartphones, and sometimes with internet connections. Of course, this is still is very small comparing to Europe or comparing to America, but it is huge in Africa. Like in Sudan, my country, there is about 15 million mobile phones. Of them, there are about 7 or 10 million smartphones. So almost from every 2 persons, one has a mobile phone or probably a smartphone. So you can find in every family now smartphones. Of course, there is still problem with the internet, because the internet services, they are very expensive, and since there is a censorship in Sudan, you can't go to every website you want. There is censorship from the official authorities, and there is some blocking of some websites, some applications. But still, the change which social media made is very huge. And now African governments, especially dictatorships, they are very afraid of social media because they believe that this information is free and democratic and they can spread very quickly, not like before, that they could close some publishing house or something and they finish, or they can close one newspaper and they finish with the problem. Now they can't shut up all the smartphones or close down the internet. So I believe that with time, Africa, of course, the situation in Ukraine is better than in Africa. The situation in Poland is better than Ukraine, and the situation in Scotland is better than in Poland. But I think the development is very high and very quick, and in 5 or 10 years we will find broadband internet almost everywhere.
Is it possible to stop? Is it possible to stop like spreading of internet media activity? And like Adil said, pointed about leaders in Africa who are afraid media resource, like social media resource. And I know leader in Russia does the same now, very afraid of this activity. And the question is for you, Ron, and for you, Adil, is it possible to stop this process?
I don't think so.
I guess there are steps. There are things that can be done. You hear about it every day. How you can block certain aspects of the internet. You know, if the government was to think about it and say, right, okay, I don't like this, they can block. For example, they can block a Facebook page. Or you understand that they can do these things. The technology is there to do that. But as Adil said, I mean, we're talking about democracy here, and I think this is one part of democracy. And as time rolls on, we're in 2016 now, and things are only going to get more. How would you say, more technical or more technological in the future. So the various governments, they have to accept that. Now, all they can do really is fight how would you say, propaganda with anti-propaganda sort of thing. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
Because let's be fair. Do you believe everything is in the newspapers these days? No, you don't. So the same applies to the internet. If you have someone. They can tell you anything. You don't need to believe this, though. You understand? So this is so social media is here to stay, and I don't think there's any way they can. Yeah, there are ways of blocking it. Technologically, there are ways to block it, but they don't because they use the same. They use it for the same purpose.
Yeah, I agree with Ron. If you let me, I can add something that. Political activists who use social media in Africa, it is about 10% of the whole people who use social media. So if the government will close like Facebook or YouTube, they will create new opponents for them. They will create a position from normal people who are using it for entertainment, because they say, why they close this? We were just looking at YouTube films with songs and with other documental films or something. We were using Facebook for. So they are afraid that if they close down the social media, they will find more opposition, because normal people, ordinary people who are using it for entertainment, they will be angry. Why? And as Ron said, of course, these governments, they are trying to create their own materials, their own contents, and send it through social media. But generally, because this content is not true, because it is not genuine, because it is bureaucratic, so people, they don't like it, because it is created by the government. It is not something which is creative. It is not something which is authentic.
Well,
so,
it's up
yeah.
to it's up to the site owners themselves in a lot of cases. For example, Facebook, Twitter, and various other social media websites. It's up to them. Now, if there is anything which is too radical, too right-wing, or too left-wing, or anything else like that, then they have the authority to block this. And this happens. This happens quite a lot. If there is something which is too extreme on one side or the other, yes, those websites will be blocked. And it has been. This has happened in various occasions here in the UK. So, I mean, the technology is there.
Yes, let's look in Russia. And what Russia understands that it's impossible to stop this process. But they start to be very creative. They start to create new lying ideology, and lying is now like Russian lying. It's in English. That lie, it's like it's grew up and create a lot of craziness among the global world. And we can see Russian lying in America, in Europe, and Ukraine, and everywhere. And this is darkness side of social media also. And social media allowed to do it.
If you can't beat them, join them. This is the saying we have.
Yes, of course, but yes, it's true. But among Maidan, I spent 3 days together with Media AC. We spent on press center Maidan, and I was bridge between Crimea and Maidan. And after 3 days, local authorities in Crimea stopped our activity. And Russian keyboards start to pay attention to us very much. And each Wednesday and each Friday, my computer was attacked by Russian side, and it's not less than 1 year they try to do it. And it's also darkness side of media, social media.
So this is your problem over where you are at the moment. You are in an area of conflict, and obviously one side and the other are trying to push their opinion forward. You know, it's up to you who you want to believe. But again, as I said, the technology is there. They can do that to you. If you're in a country like, you know, here where we have no problems or no real problems as regards borders or anything like that, although England and Scotland, we've had a 300-year, a 300-year-old, but that's beside the point. But in a country we don't have these problems. We can't see these problems, and I feel that in the Ukraine, what is happening in the Ukraine at the moment, since you've explained this to me, is you are being held back in the Ukraine with regards to spreading out your broadband, getting your broadband cheaper, making things cheaper and everything else, so that other people can use them. You are being held back to that extent by outside forces. You see, they make it so expensive you can't afford it. You can't afford it. So right, okay, the less people can afford it, the less problems they're going to have.
Yeah, I agree with Ron. Of course, Russia has a long tradition of propaganda.
Yes.
It was before the Bolsheviks, and the Bolsheviks were masters in propaganda, and they built a lot of propaganda institutions, which now today Russia is using a lot of experts. Yes, using a lot of people who speak different languages. Like I watch the TV which is called Russia Today.
Russia Today.
Yeah, it is
craziness.
the propaganda platform TV, and it is in different language. It is in Arabic, in French, in English, in different. While Ukraine Today, which is a very good, very objective TV channel, is only in English. So Russia here is in advantage. They have the advantage of using more resources, more money, more people in their propaganda team. But returning to this depends on, you can put really small resources, and you can beat them, like a country like Estonia, which is a very small country with very small population, but they are very advanced in IT. They are very advanced in in social media. They created in fact Skype. Yeah. So such countries, I believe that they can really compete with, they can make competition with big countries and spread their message. Also, we have what you talk about it, Svetlana, that people, they became very creative when the government or the regime is controlling them or making censorship. And now we know, I don't know if you hear about it, but there is something which they call dark web. The dark web, it was an idea of American scientists, and it was developed by American official agenda, and now it is fought by the American administration because it became out of control. The dark web is using other browsers. They are using other alternative messengers. They are using alternative operation systems.
What they
So
use for here, excuse me just a minute, what is used widely for here is they have found out that a lot of those paedophile rings use the dark web. And they
yes,
found this out recently here in the UK, and a lot of people have been arrested for child abuse, etc., because of this
yes.
dark web.
Yes,
Yep.
that's true. That's true. The dark web is used by criminals, of course. A lot of criminals, they use the because it is secured. It's secured, and in fact, you can't control it. You can't control it. Governments, they can't control it. But also, it is used by opposition groups. Like
Mm-hmm.
in Africa, a lot of opposition groups, they use dark web because they are trying to hearing you what you are talking in messengers and in all these things. So you use the dark web, you use alternative operation system, you use alternative browsers. So they can't get it because dark web, it depends on one-to-one connections that different people, they make their computers like servers, and they make access to it. Yeah. So it is people who are creating, really, not the machines, the dark web. But
Yes, yep.
as Ron said, dark web is has a very bad reputation because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of criminal groups, a lot of terrorist groups, a lot of um, like child abuse, like people who are trading with weapons and they are using it. But it is something which shows that the government cannot control. Of course, we know that the internet has its positive sides and negative sides, just
And
like
negative
everything
sides,
else.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. And it seems like we are talking about responsibilities, about responsibility, or our responsibility as a leaders, what we are going to do with media and with
Yes.
social media. And I have the last question for today, today dialogue to each of us. And what do you think, what is the main addition value social media bring to our life? Or what addition value we create to our community or to our people through social media?
Well, I think personally that the using the social media, using the social media and the computer generally, the technology generally, is up to the individual to be responsible. You can't force other people to do other things. It's up to themselves. You have to sort of impress on them that this is a responsible way to do it, and that is the only thing, because you're never going to change it as it is otherwise. It just means, just personally, be responsible. That's all there is to it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I believe that social media made our life more democratic and more open, and that we can reach everywhere, in fact, and we can get whatever information we want to get in real time. And I believe that social media has changed really the character of media, that we are not subjects anyway anymore, and but we are creating the media, we are creating the new media. So like a website like Facebook, yeah, of course it was created by people, but the content there, it is not the contents which Mark, what is his name? Yes, made or the company of Facebook, the content there is made by the users themselves. So which now we are creating new kind of media. Yeah, of course this should be responsible. This because there is a lot of people also who are now addicted to social media. There is people who sit all the day on Facebook or on Twitter and tweeting, and they can't find another life. So some of the people, it's just like different other things. Yeah, you can be addicted to. You can be a workaholic. You can be alcoholic. You can be Facebookaholic. You know, so this is the bad sides of social media.
Yeah, some
But
people
in
do get,
general
yeah.
balance, I believe that social media had made our lives better.
I'm glad I've got a television.
And thank you. And I'm thinking about new generation. I'm thinking about our children, and because now we have new. It seems like we have new profession, which called YouTuber, and I don't know that hundreds and thousands and millions children wants to be YouTubers, and let's pay attention of this segment of our life because it's our future. And I think it's addition value. And we don't understand this addition value for our world, but we have it. And thank you very much.
Sorry, do you in the Ukraine,
Yeah.
do you use computers in the schools? Do the school children have access to the internet in the schools?
Not yet.
No, we have it here. It's widespread. When you get to the senior school, the computers are all there for you here.
And I think that in the future we will have very good combination, and the internet will be inside of us, and now it's part of our life, but maybe next 10, 20, 30 years we will be internet for sure.
I'm sorry I'm late today, but irrespective of modern technology and everything else, I still cannot get the time difference between Poland, Ukraine, and here. So I was late. I was thinking 1700 my time, but it was 1700 Polish time, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
see,
of
so
course.
I was sitting here, and it was when I got all those dings, and I thought, oh, gee, I should be here. You see?
It's
So
great.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to, just before you go, I would like to just point out my radio. Remember my radio. Now, Irina, I don't know if Irina is listening to me. Irina and Alexander, are they listening? They are going to try, we are going to try and work on a Ukrainian language broadcast. Do you know about this? Yes?
Yes, it's great, and we are working on this. We
Good,
want to
you're
do it.
working on it. That's good. Yeah, that's wonderful because I have another one from Canada, one from Ukraine, perhaps. I have another one who is she is arranging a broadcast from America as well. So I am sure a little radio station here at home, but international.
It's great, and let's ask Adil to help you with Sudanian people. Let's connect Sudan with you also, if it's
Which people?
possible.
Sorry, which
From
people?
Sudan.
From
From
Sudan? Yeah,
Sudan,
why
from
not?
Africa. Yeah.
Listen, I'm open to anything. I mean, by all means, if they want to send a podcast to me, to my email address, I will download it and I will broadcast it at a time when it suits the country. You know.
That's great.
Yes,
But
and this is
I have,
additional value also. It's
yeah, but
additional values also.
I have to point out that I would like this to be purely a music and it's a talk show. No, I don't want any propaganda, anti this, anti-Semitism, or anything like that. It's going to be purely music and talk, just like any other radio show. You understand?
Yes, we
Yes,
understand.
of course. It's great. It's great. You do great job, Ron, and I love it very much. And it's very great that
Well, yeah,
Scotland
thank you.
joined all countries together.
Well,
It's very, very good.
remember tomorrow.
Yes,
Tomorrow.
remember tomorrow.
Tomorrow, 10 o'clock your time, or 2200 your time, 2100 in Warsaw.
Okay, we'll be
Great,
there.
and we will come to you. Yes, and we will join you, Ron.
And you can
For
listen to
sure.
some Scottish and other Irish folk music.
Great. We love it.
Great.
And thank you very much, Ron and Adel. Thank you very much for today dialogue. It was very interesting, very understandable. I learned about dark web. I never heard about it. I will read about it more deeply and understand dangerous or not dangerous of this resource. Thank you very much. And see you next week.
Thank you very much, Svetlana.
As I say, I'm
And
sorry.
see you
I'm sorry I
tomorrow,
was late.
Ron.
Sorry,
No,
I was
Ron,
late.
see you tomorrow.
Yes,
Yes.
okay, good, thank you. Yes, okay. I'm trying to work it so that you can, we perhaps can use Facebook to watch. I think Alexander wants to see what I'm doing, how I'm working here. And I think maybe perhaps Facebook would be an idea where you could see, keep the camera on and just see what I'm doing here. But don't pay much attention to the dialogue because there's a 20-second delay. You understand? So
Yes,
that
yes.
would have to be
Yes.
worked on. Okay, sorry about that, but
Great.
yeah.
It's okay.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Adil. Have a
Thank you
great
very much.
evening to you. Yes, see
You
you.
too. Thank you very much
week.
indeed. See you again. See you later. Say adieu. We'll see you next week,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Next week, yes.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye for now. Bye for
Okay.
now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.